friend, and welcome back to my channel. The energy is low. The energy is low, the motivation is low. I didn't post a video on Tuesday. I'm spiraling a little bit. I don't like it. It's not a great feeling. If you also were feeling that way, I'm so sorry. What are we doing about it? Well, we're gonna try to figure out how to just reset, I guess. It's my hope that by the end of this video, by the end of this day, I will feel a lot better. If you're also feeling stuck, unmotivated, stuck in that like spiral mindset, the self-doubt, the imposter syndrome, the limiting beliefs, I am so bleeping sick of them. I'm so sick of them. They're a waste of time. They're not true. They're not true. I know they're not true. I am so tired of letting these things control my life. And I'm in a good place where like I'm fed up, which is, I know from experience, getting to the place of being fed up is like super powerful. It's not a great feeling, but it's very powerful. So guys, I'm fed up. I'm so fed up. I don't want to be where I am right now in 6 months. And if nothing changes, I'm gonna be where I am now in 6 months. But the tricky thing is, I have to get the giddy up, the go for it, the motivation, the discipline, the all of the things that I used to have before I was a parent. I used to have those things, but also at that time, my time was my own. I had control over my schedule. I had control over what was and what was not, sucking the literal life out of my soul. You know, if you're a parent, and especially if you're a stay-at-home parent who's also working and also trying to pursue other avenues of success, it's a lot, and you just don't have a lot of say on how you're gonna spend any given moment of your day and what is and is not going to require your energy. And so by time the day ends, the last thing you have energy for is anything extra. And this is not extra. This is part of my life. This is part of my career, and it's being treated as extra right now. And it's being treated as extra because it's something I want and it's something I enjoy. I know my therapist and I are working on it, okay? We're working on it. But it's a real thing that needs real attention. So let's, I don't know, get out of this funk. Let's just do that. Protein shake for breakfast because I can't be bothered for anything else. All right, step one, let's pretend like we're getting ready for the day. Do you need to go see Daddy at work and get your astronaut? Open's your best friend? Oh, hi Oki.
Hi Oki. Hi
I'm not gonna lie, we got this dog as a very little puppy when my son was a year old. And we very quickly, like within minutes of bringing this dog home, we were like, what did we just do? Why did we think this would be a good idea to have a puppy and a toddler at the same time? Why did we think this was wise? And I feel like just now, like within the last 6 weeks, it's starting to make a lot of sense as to why we did this. Because now they've essentially grown up together and they are best friends. They're buddies. They play. And as a family that is going to only ever be an only child family, it was a lot to have a puppy and a baby at the same time. Because yes, he was a year old and I know technically that's a toddler, but it felt very much like we had two babies at the same time. And it did very much feel like we had two babies at the same time. But now it just feels like we have two kids at the same time. Because if you have a golden retriever, you know there's not many thoughts. There's not a lot of thoughts that go on in their brain. But okay, so we've pulled ourselves together. Already feeling a little bit better. There really is something to splashing a little water on your face. I see. Splashing a little makeup on your face, running a brush through your hair. Okay, next step is figuring out what we're gonna do and how we're gonna do it for the day. I've gotta kind of like manage this guy because he's on spring break, so we gotta make sure we're doing something fun and engaging for him. I have errands I need to run. I have work that needs to get done, like from a job. Then we also have work that needs to be done as far as like pulling ourselves out of whatever this stuck mindset is. And if I can get myself out of that stuck mindset, I'd also like to accomplish some work for my not job. That is also still technically a job. Are you following along? I've never seen a dog eat spaghetti. That would be so silly. Are you making him spaghetti?
Okay, my airplane.
This is going to be the most annoying advice, and I'm giving it to myself, and I can already tell you that I know it's the most annoying advice. But really,
Eat it.
the most important part of attempting to get yourself out of like a stuck mindset or feeling unmotivated, which I realize is like literally the exact opposite, because if you're feeling stuck and you're feeling unmotivated, the last thing you feel like doing is doing anything, which is why you feel stuck, because you don't want to do anything. But honestly, the thing that is going to make you feel better is to do something. Just do something. So like I just splashed some water on my face and put a little makeup on. That was the first something, right? And now I'm sat here, I'm at the computer. I am going to do one thing from my to-do list. It's gonna be the smallest thing on my to-do list, but it's going to start the momentum. It's gonna get the ball rolling. And right now, thank you. The ball feels very large, very heavy, and I really am not sure that I'm ever gonna get it moving, but I've gotta at least do one thing. And while I do that one thing, I'm going to ponder a question. So I've started a little, like a journal entry in my daily reflections in my Notion. If you've seen any of my videos, you know I have like a section where I'm able to like log some things in the morning, log some things in the evening. And this one is literally just called Getting Unstuck. And I've got myself some questions that I'm gonna ponder throughout the day. The first thing I need to ponder is like identifying what's holding me back. Like, what is the thing that's keeping me stuck, and what would make it easier for me to like move forward? And that feels like a very big, very heavy question. And I really don't know if I know the answer to it. I don't know that I know the answer. I feel like the most obvious answer is fear, but I don't know what it is exactly that I would necessarily be afraid of, because I feel like I've experienced every part of the journey and know that there's really nothing to fear. So I don't know that it's fear. I'll have to think on it. Let me get something done on my to-do list, and maybe we can identify the answer to that question. And I also encourage you, like, if you're feeling like very stuck at the moment too, like ponder the question with me and come up with your own answer, because we're getting unstuck, friends. We are getting unstuck. It's gonna happen. We are gonna be like motivated little bitches at the end of this. I'm not there yet, but we're gonna get there, okay? I thought about it and I realized that the fear that is holding me back isn't actually really a fear so much as it is like a limitation. Because here's where I'm at. I'm not afraid of success. I'm not afraid of failure. I'm not afraid of it not working, because I've experienced all of those things and it's fine, right? Like, the life I'm currently living right now is the life absent of these things, and I'm fine. We are fine. We are comfortable. It is okay. But I think what is the issue is that where I'm at in life at the moment is I'm busy. I'm an older toddler parent, and so running around after a toddler with very high needs because of his neurological deficits. I work a job. Life is very full and busy at the moment, and I am not in my mid-20s. I'm not even in my mid-30s. I'm tired a lot of the time. And I realized when I really let myself think about it this morning, the fear isn't so much of any of the things that I mentioned just a moment ago. I'm so limited on my energy that I fear spending what little energy I have on this and it not working and like regretting doing it, because then I'm just more tired than I already am. And even as I was like writing that down, it really became like abundantly clear that like, I know I'm not gonna feel that way, because at the end of the day, I really enjoy doing all of these things. And the whole point is for me to just do them because I enjoy them. It's like the habit of getting into reading at night, right? I used to be the person that like would get in bed and immediately turn on like Friends or How I Met Your Mother, and that's how I would fall asleep every night. Somewhere along the way, I became a person who gets in bed and looks forward to reading, and I read until I literally fall asleep. I wake up most mornings with that silly little Kindle remote still in my hands. I have become that person. I'm not doing it for any other reason than I enjoy doing it. I like to read. So I know I'm not gonna regret spending the effort and time on doing these things. So that was the answer to that question, I think. I'm pretty sure that's what's holding me back. I'm sure that there's some insecurity and fear, because I think that's always going to be there. But I think I've learned enough in this to just expect to feel that way and do it anyway. And am I eating high protein cookie dough out of the bowl I made it in? So I don't think it's like the doubt and insecurity that's really holding me back, because I've always felt those things, and I still managed to write 2 books. I still managed to make that video in 2023 that went viral and made me an Amazon bestselling author. It's always been there. I think it's always going to be there. Now, we've had a whole day. Like, it's almost 6 o'clock. We ran errands. I had McDonald's for lunch, as you saw. But our day had me in the car a lot. And so I decided to listen to a podcast. I'm not done with it yet, but I do think that it was exactly what I needed to listen to today, which means it's probably exactly what you need to listen to if you've clicked on this video. So I'll link it down below, but I do want to share some highlights from that. I do have to get dinner started because I don't think that I can survive on high protein cookie dough. Maybe I could, probably could, but I think I need more in my system than a protein shake, McDonald's, and cookie dough. I feel like that would be the responsible thing. So let me sort that out and I'll be back. Podcast that I listened to was the Jay Shetty On Purpose. I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's On Purpose, and the guest was Rob Daly. Now, I think he also has a podcast. I don't know what it was called. I know he was there promoting a book called Level Up, which I'm out of listening minute for Spotify Premium at the moment, but when they re-up, I've already added it to my library. It does sound like something that I would like to listen to, and that would be very good for how I've been feeling. But he made a few very important points through this podcast episode. Honestly, it was really just one thing that he said. It was like an hour and a half long podcast episode. It was a very good listen. But this got said within like the first, I don't know, like 15 minutes, and I was like, do I need any more information? Unlikely. I'm gonna listen to the whole rest of it anyway, and there were a lot of really good truth bombs in it. But essentially, the point that he made is that there are 2 types of fears. Hello, Campbell. The first is like a primal primal fear, which is like the fear of survival, right? Not fear of survival, but like fear for your survival. And the other type, which is the type that most of us tend to experience most often, especially if you're a creative, is an intellectual fear. And he went on to say, like, how do you overcome an intellectual fear, right? You don't overcome an intellectual fear because it doesn't exist. It only exists in your mind. Like, you've completely made it up. So if you've completely made it up, could you not just like make up a different story? Could you not convince yourself of something else? Why we're so programmed to lean towards fear is really hard for me to understand. I know it has something to do with like our brain's job to like protect us, and what is known, it feels safe to us, and what is unknown doesn't feel safe. But yeah, that was really perspective shifting for me, and I was really kind of like marinating on that thought quite a bit while I was walking and then just now in the shower. And I think, okay, let's zoom in for a hot second, because for me, this is primarily like where this comes into play for me isn't really even about the writing part. It's not really about much else other than like the business of the business. Like, we're talking about like the marketing and the promoting and all of that kind of stuff, which again, like I was doing all of this last year and it was so much fun. I was doing like big, scary things that were completely out of my comfort zone. And not only did I find that I could do them, I found that I loved them. Like, it was the most exhilarating thing on the planet. But it's doing the business of doing the business. I don't know how else to explain it. It's the most ridiculous thing in the world. And in fact, like in the process of making this video, I'm realizing how just ridiculous all of this sounds. But anyway, the point that I was going to make is while I was in the shower and like on my walk and everything, I was really thinking about like how, like what is one thing that I can do to like kind of make this fear become smaller. And I know from experience, as I mentioned before, that the doing feels better than the not doing. I know that this fear shrinks the more that I do what I need to do, but it's like I can't convince myself to do it because there's so much emotion attached to the things. And I was realizing like I do things every day, right? Like I do, and honestly, if we're being fully transparent, I do a lot of the things that I need to do for my own business for the other businesses that I work for. In fact, 90% of what I would need to be doing for myself, I do, and I do well for these other businesses. And I don't think much about it. And aside from like having some standards for myself that, and this is just how I show up in the world, is I want to do my best and I want it to perform well and I want to do it with integrity. I just know what needs to be done. I do it and I send it off into the world, and then I don't think much else about it. Why don't I just approach the business of the business for myself the same way? And I know it's tricky. Like, I know it's hard for us to like detach ourselves from the emotion of the things that we're creating, which again is like part of the reason that I have the burner TikTok accounts, is because it kind of like adds a layer of distance. I'm not ashamed of my work at all. Actually, like I'm actually quite proud of my work. I'm proud of the work, but I'm also proud of like the messaging in the work, whether it be for somebody my own age, somebody older, but primarily I'm most proud of the messaging that it offers to the younger generation and the kids that are in high school right now, the young women that are in high school right now. These are books that I wish I would have had when I was in high school and in college, and I want to continue to create that type of content. It's super relatable no matter where you are in your life, because in fact, I was just having a discussion with a friend yesterday. I recently went through something with a friend that like was not just a friend breakup, it was like a friend explosion. And like through this conversation, she's read my books, and then she was like, and then all of a sudden Lori is a different person, and you're like, what the heck? And you're so hurt because this person treated you a certain way and you're just like, who are you? I don't even know you anymore. And so she like related the whole conversation back to the plot of Yeah, Maybe. Because again, it doesn't matter how old you are, like you're gonna experience stuff like this. So like I'm not ashamed of it at all. Like I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm not ashamed of it. And like I could look at it in the way that like I treat the business like I treat any other one of my jobs, where like I'm just gonna show up and do it well and not really put all that much emotion attached to any of it. The other thing that I was thinking about was like, I have a good friend that I met as the Uber driver. One of the big scary things that I was doing to promote the books, and she ended up being like a transformation coach. It's the craziest story. If you've been following along, you've heard this story before. But anyway, she and I had a conversation on a TikTok live recently where she talked about not using the word trying, which I've mentioned here on these vlogs. And she said to approach it more like, just give it a go. Like, you're just gonna give it a go. Like, don't attach so much to the outcome. Just like give it a go. And like, as you're giving it a go, you just like adjust and modify as necessary and just keep going. And those things really help shift my perspective on it. But then I also think about it from the perspective of like, these are things that I created that I'm proud of. Just like I am so proud of my son, and I will do anything to put my son up into the best possible platform that he needs to be as successful as he could possibly be in his life. Like, I want to offer him every single resource under the sun to make sure that he has everything he needs to be successful in this life. Why can't I do the same for my book babies? What is this? Like, it's the craziest mind f- I am sorry, but like, it just is. It just is. Anyway, I have more things that I want to say, but that was the podcast that like launched me into a whole bunch of thoughts. I'm going to carry this vlog into tomorrow. I feel leaps and bounds different now than I did when I started the vlog this morning. I also just, again, like, there's a lot that comes from doing things, but I think there's a lot that comes from like giving yourself the white space to think. And I know like who I am as a person. I tend to fill every second of every day. One, I'm busy, like I mentioned earlier, like there's just a lot to fill into every single day. But even in the moments of time that I might have space to think thoughts, I'm filling it with something, like some type of podcast, audiobook, something. And a lot of times I'm looking at that as an opportunity of like, this is the only chance I have to like do something I want to do. And so like I look at a lot of like my commuting time, right? Or like when I'm cooking or whatever, like I almost always have like a headphone in my ear listening to something. And I purposefully didn't do that through this evening. Like, even when I was on my walk, I purposefully didn't watch something. I had some conversation with my husband, but like I wasn't consuming anything. I just like let myself think. Same thing when I was in the shower, which we all do our best thinking when we're in the shower, do we not? But like, I just purposefully allowed myself the space to think, which is also another thing that like I need to get back into meditation. I was so good at that earlier in the year, or earlier, like last year. Was it last year? I think honestly, really, most of it was in 2023, which again was my most successful year. As if there's like a hand-in-hand tie-in, I don't know. But anyway, I do feel a lot better now than I did when I started this video. So I'll talk to you guys about that tomorrow. Not gonna lie, today has kind of gotten away from me, but the good news is I've been very productive. The bad news is I kind of fell off the vlogging planet, but I did want to answer some of the questions that I had like listed out for myself yesterday that I mentioned in the vlog. I went ahead and answered them yesterday. I just never got a chance to share them here on the vlog. And I thought, in case you are also going through some type of season of feeling stuck, that they might be helpful for you as well. So let me pull them up real quickly. This is why I love Notion. Like, as much as I love like a notebook, I love having everything I need, work, personal, etc., all in one place. I can search for it. I don't have to go digging through anything. It's all right here. So, okay, the first question I already answered, and that was like, what is holding you back the most right now and what would make it easier to move forward? We already talked about this. The next thing, and we kind of touched on this very like start of the video where I said that I didn't want to be in the exact same place I'm in now in 6 months. So this question is, if nothing changed, how would you feel 6 months from now? And honestly, I wrote that I would be disappointed in myself. Things are fine as they are, but I could have what I want if I just do what it takes to do it. There's no one and nothing in my way except myself. There have been so many times where I've had the thought that if only I had started then. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. So just freaking do it, Joey. So I would encourage you to kind of think through that exact question, like, how will you feel? The time is gonna pass anyway, right? And I tell tell that to myself all the time. And again, before I had a kid, I used to be really, really good at this stuff. Like I used to be so disciplined and I didn't let myself down. Life just is a lot different now. And so navigating that is really tricky. So, all right, moving on. The next question was, what's one small step you could take today that would move you even slightly forward? And we touched on this last night when I was discussing kind of the insights that I took from that podcast. But basically I just said to shift my perspective on the work, to start treating my book stuff like I treat any other job I have. Remove the emotion from it. Now, the other question is, have you faced similar challenges before? And if so, what have you done to get through it? And I was like, well, yes, but I don't have any real answer because I ended up in the exact same cycle where I get this close and then bail. Let's make this time different. Okay, and then the last question is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how ready do you feel to make a change? What would make that number go up by 1? And I said, I'm ready, but I'm tired. I know the momentum will come once I push through and take the initial steps. So I don't really necessarily have a specific answer about like what would make that go up by 1. I know what will make that go up by 1,000 is just a start. It's just getting through that like first barrier is so much more difficult for me now than it ever used to be. And maybe it's because I'm tired. Maybe it's because I'm unfocused. I'm not really sure. Maybe it's because I'm afraid. I don't know. But anyway, those are the questions I laid out for myself yesterday to try to kind of start getting unstuck. And that 6 months question is really sticking out to me. And I'm actually really curious, what would 6 months from today be?
It's Friday, October 3rd, 2025.
Okay, so in a not so official capacity, this is me saying that things are going to look very different by October 3rd, 2025. And I need to stick to it. But that's gonna be it for me today, you guys. If you're feeling the same way that I am, let's get through this. Let's just go. Let's hold each other accountable. Let's make this happen. You're capable, I'm capable. Let's just do it. Why are we disappointing ourselves? Why are we procrastinating? What is holding us back? Let's go. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you resonated with this content at all, or you just feel like we could be friends, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, comment down below, and let me know if you are ready to make the change. And I'll see you guys all again very, very soon. Bye.